What else did I see today? Oh, The Comedian. Okay. The Comedian is a movie. It's a different kind of bad Robert De Niro movie. Because when I think of like bad Robert De Niro movie, like Little Fockers,
The Luc Besson one with Michelle Pfeiffer from a couple of years ago.
Stardust. I never saw Stardust.
Not Stardust. I liked Stardust. The one where they're
Luc
in
Besson.
France.
Oh, The Family.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that either.
I think that was me and Sarah who saw
Yeah.
that, and that wasn't very good.
Oh, I forgot.
I'm pretty sure that was a
about
Luc
that.
Besson movie.
No, it was.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that. It's not. This movie, you could tell, was ambitious. Like, it's trying to be really good.
Oh God.
It is, and he's good in it. A lot of the act. This movie has. It's a movie about a stand-up comedian, so it has a bunch of stand-up comedians in it. It's like whatever stand-up comedian didn't cameo in Funny People is in this movie, which is funny because Leslie Mann is in both of them. So in this movie, he plays a legendary stand-up comedian who was known for being on an 80s sitcom, and now he's like kind of still trying to be relevant, and he gets in some trouble at the beginning of the movie and has to do community. So didn't we review this already with fucking Resurrection of Gavin Stone?
Let's bring that movie up again. We'll see if we could put in another
Another
MASH review promoted by.
we're in an ad for Resurrection of Gavin Stone that Brett Dalton tweeted out like a week or so ago.
It was hilarious because it's just a bunch of people like, yeah, and us, it gets to us, and we're like,
It cuts to us and we're like, it could have been worse. Like, if this is what Christian movies want to be like, all right. It's rave.
This is the least offensive Christian movie I've seen.
That's a rave review. I enjoyed that. I got a kick out of that. But now on paper, this should be good. With all of these people it has in it, because it's about this character. He's an insult comic. The movie is co-written by Jeff Ross. And you can tell that when you're looking at De Niro's stand-up in this movie, because that's very much what it is. He very much stands up there and just kind of roasts people. He's definitely an insult comic. And he's good in those parts, because it's De Niro saying a bunch of vulgarity and insulting people, and he's just doing it with a microphone, saying it to a crowd. It's like, okay, you know what? I kind of buy him as a stand-up, honestly. And he's doing community service, and he meets Leslie Mann in the movie, who's also doing community service, and they almost kind of have this sort of Jack Nicholson and Helen Hunt from As Good as It Gets thing going on. There is a good movie in here.
Right.
Like, a good movie about this kind of weird romance that they have going on, and he's like kind of a celebrity who's still trying to be relevant, and she's also kind of vulgar and everything. The movie's got a huge... Danny DeVito plays his... Charles Grodin is in this. Well,
never mind the rest of the review. Charles Grodin's in this. Go see it in the theater.
Why do you think I was there? Honestly, when it got like halfway through, I had already given up on this movie being good. But I was like, I know Charles Grodin is in this. I know he's in this. I know he's in this. And he does pop up in it. He's like the head of the Friars Club.
Oh, okay.
Who's he plays a shitty comedian known for stealing other comedians' jokes. The movie does have some laughs because it's got every comedian in the world in it. So I'm like, I am mainly here for Charles Grodin, and he was there for a few minutes. But this movie is awful. Let me just explain to you things that happen in this movie. The reason why he gets busted and has to do community service is he is doing sitcom night at a comedy club in which Brett Butler and Jimmy Walker are also doing stand-up. So he's doing stand-up, and a guy starts heckling him in the audience. And it turns out this guy heckling him has this YouTube series called... I don't know. The point of his YouTube series is he goes and heckles comedians, and that's it, and films them doing it. So De Niro gets off the stage and says, hey, don't film me. Seriously, put your fucking camera down. And the guy doesn't and starts giving him shit and starts trying to take De Niro's microphone. And then by the end of it, De Niro just bops him on the head with the microphone. And then, okay, first of all, he would be considered a hero for doing this. But then he's put on trial for this and refuses to apologize to the guy and says, yeah, I'm not apologizing to this guy, fuck this guy. And he gets put in jail for 30 days at what looks like fucking Oz for like 30 days, and then he has to do community service because of this. That's dropped fairly quickly, honestly, the whole community service angle in this movie. Like most things, it's just sort of
there to move a plot along.
Yes.
Like, how do we get to this point?
There is
in the most irrational way possible. Let's make it community service again.
There is a part in this movie where he's doing a roast of Cloris Leachman. She's not playing Cloris Leachman, but she might as well be playing Cloris Leachman. She's not playing herself, but you know, whatever. So anyway, they're doing this Friars Club roast for her, and he's on stage, and she laughs so hard at him that he kills her. She dies at her own Friars Club roast. This is not mentioned again after it happens.
That would be a movie in itself.
Yes. Instead, it's just there for a...
What the fuck is...
What?
It's just a cat.
Oh. I was looking, are you looking at a drug deal or something?
It's a cat, but it's the shape of a gerbil. What the fuck?
The look on your face, I thought you witnessed a murder.
I saw it out of the corner of my eye moving. I was like, is that a bunny? No, that's a fucking cat.
That's a cat. I see all kinds of things in there. For all I know, there's an alligator down there.
There might be.
But no, like, it's just there for a joke, because Charles Grodin's like, well, you killed. Like, I'm like, oh, come on! Like, it is not mentioned again after this happens. And he keeps going viral online throughout the movie, whether it's the beginning where he bops the heckler on the head, or later on, he's doing stand-up. He's talked into doing stand-up at an old age home, and so he leads them all into a song about shit, but it's called, like, Let's Make Poopy, and there's a guy, one of the workers there, who's filming it, and it turns into a YouTube poop video of him and a bunch of old people saying, let's make poopy. Look, this movie's a little behind on... There's a fucking Two Girls, One Cup reference in this goddamn thing.
It's because it's Jeff Ross.
Yeah, like, Harvey Keitel is in this. Harvey Keitel plays Leslie Mann's dad. And so they do have scenes together, but they're all terrible scenes, because it's just De Niro going like, yeah, I fucked your daughter, whatever. Like, which admittedly, Harvey Keitel does have it coming. Like, he plays a real dick in this movie. He plays one of those guys who's like, come on, do your catchphrase from your show, asshole. Like, he plays like that kind of character towards De Niro. There's a part, he ends up going viral again, because towards the end of the movie, he hosts a reality show that's just Fear Factor, but it's called Just Say Uncle. Like, so he's the host of this show called Just Say Uncle, where they dump crabs on a guy. And that's like his epiphany moment where he realizes that he's been an asshole because he watches crabs get poured on this Fear Factor knockoff, which, again, timely. This Fear Factor knockoff. And the guy's, like, upset because he's got crabs on him. He's kind of bleeding a little bit. And he's like, oh, God, what have I done? Or, I don't know. Like, and then he goes and tracks down Leslie Mann. They have this third act breakup that makes no sense because they actually do have really good chemistry together in the movie. But then they sleep together and she leaves to Florida to go run this old age home. And I'm like, why did she just leave? And then later on, she's like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, you didn't know that when you left the day after you slept together. Like, that still doesn't really explain a lot. So by the end of it, I was like, I really don't know why these two characters aren't together. Because it flashes forward 8 years later, and they have an 8-year-old daughter, but she's with, I guess, married to some other guy.
And De Niro's 90.
Yeah. She's like married to some other guy, and who I don't know. It's the only time this guy is in the movie. He's just a non-character. And then their 8-year-old is doing stand-up at the school's talent show where she says fuck and pussy. And De Niro's like, don't look at me. I didn't teach her that. Credits. Like, if Scorsese did this movie, it would be good. Because you can tell that that's kind of... You can tell by the way New York is shot in the movie, and it has a saxophone soundtrack. There's a lot of rain in the film. You can tell they really thought they had something with this. But it's got 4 screenwriters to it. Things are just brought up and dropped. It's mostly just really fucking awkward. If, like, Scorsese was behind this, or, like, hell, like Spike Lee even, or somebody...
Yeah.
They would have something.
Somebody with some chops.
Well, it's directed by Taylor Hackford.
It's familiar.
Devil's Advocate, right?
Oh, okay.
He's hit or miss. He's directed some good movies and some not so good ones, but God, it was awful. It was really bad. It was Resurrection of Gavin Stone was better.
Oh God.
Speaking of Scorsese and De Niro and stand-up comedy, watch King of Comedy.
Right, that's what I was thinking. They're like,
Right, yeah. It's like, someone made a shit movie because I guess they wanted to see Rupert. They're really big fans of Rupert Pupkin. I don't know. So they wanted to make this shitty fucking movie. Just watch King of Comedy. That's I love that fucking movie.
all right.
King of Comedy, funny people. Punchline. There's way better movies about stand-up you could be watching other than this.
Or you could just watch some stand-up.
Yeah, the funny parts that are in the movie
Or the stand-up parts.
Yeah, so the stand-up
Watch
parts.
some stand-up.
Yeah, it's not good.